Hello and welcome back to Jack Knives Reviews. I'm of course your host, Jack Knives. Today I'll be reviewing the sci-fi comedy, The Orville. 400 years in our future. The Planetary Union is an organization focused solely on exploration and merging planets and galaxies together. A ship called the USS Orville is helmed by Captain Ed Mercer, as well as his commander and ex-wife, Kelly Grayson. Together, them and their ragtag group of various backgrounds and species explore new worlds, discover different cultures, dangers, and fun along the way. For me, Seth Macfarlane's work is kind of hit or miss. I mean, to be honest, I used to love Family Guy to no end, especially the earlier seasons were amazing. But it started to fall apart in the same way that The Simpsons did, and American Dad is similar, and a lot of the works he does are kind of just gross out humor for the sake of gross out humor. And unfortunately, that stigma has kind of followed him all the way to this. But this is his magnum opus. This is probably the best show he's ever done. And it's not just the best show he's ever done, it's one of the best sci-fi series I've ever seen. I know that's kind of a big boast and kind of a stretch. It is just this perfect balance of genuine comedy, genuine sci-fi, and genuine fun. It really does feel like when I saw the original Star Trek Next Generation back in the early 90s, and just that vibe of you're getting into it. It was science fiction, and it wasn't like Star Wars, and it wasn't like Doctor Who. It was just the perfect balance of both. And I think The Orville is the perfect encapsulation of what Star Trek should be. But all accounts that I've seen, basically Seth MacFarlane has always wanted to make a Star Trek either movie or series, but has been told no. And the reason why is, well, unfortunately, because when you have a stigma surrounding your most popular work, no one's going to take you seriously. If you spend the majority of your career being a clown, no one's going to take you serious as a dramatic actor. It's the same principle. The rest of this crew is fantastic too. Adrienne Palicki plays Commander Grayson, and I love her because she's such a ball buster, but she's also got this genuine charm to her that you could understand why her and the main actor, who is Seth MacFarlane playing Ed Mercer, have this dynamic chemistry where, yeah, you could see them being married at some point. Mark Jackson plays the Kaylon cybernetic organism Isaac, and I love his character because it's almost like the advanced, more serious version of Data from Star Trek Next Gen, and I just love it because it's a perfect transition of it. These characters are similar, but they're different. They have a dynamicness to them. He adds lore to them. He adds story to them. He adds build to them. It's literal world building. What boggles my mind is Seth MacFarlane clearly can be a talented writer. This show is really well written. It deals with subjects that range from as light as misunderstanding between species to deep subjects of things like gender identity, parasocial relationships, the concept of AI technology advancing past our understanding, what it means to advance in civilizations in some capacities, and yet be extremely toxic in others. I feel legitimately that Star Trek has dabbled in, but would never have the balls to do. And The Orville does. That's the problem, is a lot of sci-fi dabbles in it because they don't want to alienate their audience. But Seth MacFarlane has never been one to mince his words, actions, and feelings, and he goes full force into it. There's one episode that they go to a society where everything is dictated in their world based off of what is liked and disliked. Essentially taking the concept of social media into a giant melting pot where everything is dictated by what is liked and what is not liked. And it's crazy. Like, but I also could see our civilization advancing to that level. And they explain how world peace and intergalactic relationships work in the world of the Orville in a plausible way. Like, one of the key things is the concept of world hunger is no longer a thing because they have the technology to think or say any food that they want and just get it, just have it ready, available for anyone. And then the fact that they got rid of currency, so no one has to work for money, they just work for reputation and things like that, where I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome society. That's an awesome realization of a societal thing of, I wish the universe was like that. And then you see backward societies where if you're one gender over another, you are not just outcasted, you're pretty much sentenced to death or mutilation. It's kind of crazy. Things like that where it's like, whoa, this is some heavy stuff, guys. But they do it in a natural way where the progression of the storytelling doesn't feel forced down your throat. It feels real. Like, it feels like really heavy stuff done in a really genuine way. That is great storytelling. And I really hope this isn't the end of the series. But if it is the end of the series, I do hope Seth Macfarlane works more on things like this than the extremely toxic stuff that he's more known for. I give the Orville 5 out of 5. Have you seen the Orville? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I'll see you next time.